It was live the whole time.
Okay, now it is. Let me see. As soon as it pops in my other computer, we're ready to go.
All right. It was live the whole time.
It is live
Okay,
now.
now it is.
All right. Perfect.
As
it pops in my other computer, we're ready to go.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fabio Marques, International Excellence Society, and this is Fabulous with Fabio. And my guest today is really fabulous. I don't know if you heard about any flip-flop philosopher, action speaker, synergy coach, someone who has gone through hell, but came back as a hero. I don't know if you know all the story, but today is the day you're going to know David Blake. David Blake really is someone you got to know. You know, when you're stressing with work-life balance and you're getting more stressed, trying to control your stress, this is the guy that's gonna help you. When you have to see things in a different perspective, when you really have to reinvent yourself and find a way to a better life, a life by design, this is the man you want to talk to. So, David Blake, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, Fabio. It's always a pleasure to be with you and your energy. I just love our conversations, and I can only imagine where it's going to go today.
It's going to go where we want to go because it's life by design, my friend, right?
You've got it.
All right. Listen, I really want to give you the chance to explain to our viewers and to our listeners who you are, and how you became such a great human being and a philosopher, a flip-flop philosopher, right? So tell us a little bit about your story, your past, milestones, what happened, and how you became such a great human being.
Happily, let's start out with this. This sums it up, and then we'll open it up. I tell people I was disabled by fate, philosopher by choice, and I created a life by design. Now, in that, as you said, I'm the flip-flop philosopher. That comes from a lot of things. I've been an innovation trainer, a division leader for a utility company for many years. I owned the #1 entertainment company in Chicago for about 15 years. And now I'm a speaker, trainer, coach full-time. So in the many years of learning myself, working with others, teaching others, and trying to solve problems, something that just kept coming up is we are often looking at problems the wrong way, and we need to turn them on their head, because so often we go in and we keep looking at problems the same way. We keep trying to solve, what's that quote? If you do the same thing over and over without changing, I forgot the end of that, but it's basically it's the definition. Right? Insanity.
Doing the same thing and expecting different results, it's insanity.
Correct. So companies, people, we do the same thing because we're conditioned. We know what we know, so we tackle the same problems the same way over and over. That's well, with my trainings and a huge challenge in my life, which I'll explain in a second, I realized we needed to start flip-flopping things, turning them on their heads and coming about them in a different perspective, from a different angle, in order to find new solutions. So I help companies flip-flop their thinking to uncover what isn't working and find what they truly desire, or the path to what they truly desire. Now, in this background, I was also a professor for 12 years. There are so many aspects and layers that got me to this point. But the one major challenge that created the flip-flop philosophy is I was poisoned. Now, I'm not a spy or a double agent. It's actually something that happens more than we think. But I had a minor injury, went in for surgery, and got a recalled drug. When I came out of surgery, I had all the symptoms of a massive stroke, of debilitating diseases. I was even misdiagnosed with ALS and given 5 months to live. Well, when those things come at you, your mind starts going in many different directions. First, it goes into deep, dark holes, and you start swirling in where I call the unknown. Now, many of us, I would say all of us, live in the unknown in some way. There are things that, challenges that we all face, limitations that we face on a daily basis that we are combating. So I call that navigating the unknown. And that's one of the things too that I help people and companies with is while flip-flopping their thinking, you have to be able to understand you're in the unknown, identify that, and be willing to say it. What happens with a lot of natural instincts is we try and say, no, 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 I've got this. And especially when there's pressure of companies, when money is involved, it's hard to admit you don't know something. Well, when you're struggling for your life, or whether it's your business life or actual breath, you get to a point where you can't walk around it anymore. You have to say, identify, this is where I am. It's a hole that you've fallen into. Now, many of us, whether it's business, financial, personal, relationships, we have holes we've fallen into or have been pushed, and we find ourselves in that dark spot with no seeming light ahead and no way out. So many people, many companies, they start thinking, well, if I could just get back to ground zero, if I could just get back to where I started, then I'd be fine if I was out of this hole. Other people look around and say, well, I guess I live here now, and they start ordering furniture. They even get so comfortable, they look up and say, look, I've got a skylight. And they take the other road of comfortability. But for those that want out of that hole, they set their expectations a little too short. They just want to get back to the starting point, wherever they fell in the hole. Companies do this all the time. They get into a financial situation and they clear decks just to get back to where they were when the problem happened. This opens up other problems because now you're less staffed, you're less budgeted. You've cleared out the things that were going to save you just to get you back to the where you thought you wanted. Instead, I teach people and companies to look further down the road. If you use sports analogies, look towards the end zone, not the first down line. If you're looking at mountain climbing, you don't look at the first step, you look 10 feet ahead and set your sights on what is that marker that you're trying to get. And once you're there, once you can see the end goal Now you can back it up. Now you can see the steps to get there, and it becomes much easier. Instead of the overwhelm of the big picture or the overwhelm of the problem, you now start seeing a path to get there. And in being poisoned, I was able to utilize the teachings I did for companies and start applying it. Once I realized the hole I was in, I wasn't actually going to die. I had passed that 5-month period. I started applying, yes, I started applying those principles of goal setting and taking the next step. And I coined the phrase, goals get you out of holes. So, and it came from that. For me, it was 6 feet under. That was my hole. That's where I was destined. For companies, it is, again, the challenges that they face with staff, finances, getting a product out on time, whatever that marker is, whatever that hole they find themselves in.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's very interesting the way you explained. People in general, really, they are addicted to go back, right? When something goes wrong, they want to go back to the way it was before the hole, as you said, right? And sometimes it's impossible, like in sports, you said, like in life, when something happened to you, it happened. You cannot undo what happened, right? So you need really to absorb that, adapt your life, your situation to that moment, and grow from there with new goals, right?
Correct.
Keeping the goals in mind to get out of the hole, but understanding that you are different now, you have a different reality, and you can either try to ignore it or learn from it, grow from it, and become a better person and a better company and a better business, right?
Exactly.
So I really like this idea.
Well, that's a perfect point of what happened to me. So I had a very successful business, a very happy family life. I was working on my, as you see behind me, my what's next. I was at a point in my life where things were moving forward. When this happened to me and I lost the ability to walk, talk, or even hold myself up, as you just said, the challenges now became everything was different. I not only had to maintain the business, maintain the relationships, but I also had no longer the capability of the physical aspects that I once had. So the life changed, the game changed. So I had to come about it in a whole new way, much like companies did with the pandemic. All of a sudden, this thing came in and changed the way we worked, the capabilities that each other had, and it added stress to the individuals, it added stress to the companies. So now you're all navigating a brand new unknown with new ones coming at you consistently.
Yeah. And I see a lot of companies struggling a lot now, even now, because they're still trying to go back to the place they were before the pandemic.
Yes.
They're still thinking the same way, managing people the same way, making decisions the same way, because they somehow believe it is possible to take life or business back to normal, right? And I know everybody talks about the new normal, but it's true. Life is always changing. And if you keep insisting in going backwards to the past, you'll always be frustrated and will never be great again, right? So if the world has changed, you got to evolve as well to reinvent yourself every day and achieve greatness again every day. Because, excellence, and I speak about excellence a lot, excellence is not a destination, it's a habit, right? habit of
Yes.
being always exceeding expectations, exceeding limitations, learning something new, adapting, adjusting, and becoming the best you can be with the resources you've got. So what you said made perfect sense, because and I believe if companies were listening to you more, they will be much more successful, and not only as a business, but as a place where human beings go to work. Because I
Right.
see every day people complaining about their jobs, right? Complaining about the work, suffering because of it, taking anxiety drugs to control the violence they commit to themselves every day, because they don't understand that work should be a place to fulfill your mission, to feel great about yourself, to do something good, to make a difference, and not like a sacrifice to be able to pay the bills. And
Yes.
leaders in companies should help people see that.
Yes, when your people are fulfilled, when they feel part of the overall mission and goals, and they're getting something out of it other than dread and stress, everyone moves forward together. I tell executives all the time, bring people up with you. Grab them by the hand like you're climbing a mountain. When you reach the summit, you'll have other humans to celebrate with. Otherwise, you're battling it alone, and it gets lonely and a lot harder.
That's right. Well, it is time now maybe to move a little bit forward now and speak about your goals, right? Because of course my viewers are business people, but they're also human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And our examples, our I don't know, our guidance maybe can help them set their own goals as well.
Sure.
You have shared with us what happened to you, like a medical mistake, or something that of course was not on purpose but happened to you, and that took away from you your ability to walk, to talk, to work, and you had to really accept that new reality, reinvent yourself with courage. You were very brave, of course, and I know that goals, as you said, were probably the thing that really helped you get out of that hole, because I imagine you were a very successful entrepreneur, very successful man, and then suddenly I understand, because I've been through something like that. I understand that it's very hard when you are like the hero of the family,
Right.
The hero of your employees, the hero of so many people, and suddenly people start looking at you like you are a victim, like poor you, right? Oh my God, what happened? And then this is probably the hardest part, right? To be seen in a very tough position, and people kind of don't believe you're able to recover from that.
Yes.
So you have to be the very first one to believe in yourself, right? Believe in yourself and do everything you have to do. And the first thing we know is, okay, what is next, right? For me, what is my next goal? What do I have to do? So, talk to us now about your next goals. Where are you heading? What do you have in mind from now on?
Well, I happily, but to do that, I want to go back for 1 second, because this is where I think people struggle a lot. And that is what we were talking about before. When you're in a hole, you don't necessarily know what's wrong. You want to get back to where you were, but where you were probably wasn't working, or you wouldn't have fallen in the hole to begin with. So not only do we have to reinvent and re-see, but looking at it this way, when most of us don't know how to breathe properly, walk properly, or heck, during the pandemic, we learned we didn't even know how to wash our hands. So there are basic things in life that we think we know that we truly don't. And when we stumble, when something goes wrong in a company, we try and go back to what was working at the time we think was working. But in reality, we were not trained properly. It was probably luck that it worked the first time, worked. It was happening. It may not have been working. So if we get back to what I learned from my research and my trainers, I was doing everything wrong the first time. So relearning how to walk the wrong way wasn't helping me get forward. It was helping me relearn bad habits now with a disability. The other thing that you touched on is when this happened, I suddenly became two things: disabled and unacceptable. And people saw that disability different. They saw the limitations from the guy who, to use your words, the hero, the guy that was successful in company and in life, suddenly needing more help from others, and they didn't see that. So now to spring forward, the goals. Having goals that pull you forward, that excite you, but also being willing to explain those goals to the people around you so they can see their place in it and step in. This is where a lot of business people, managers, directors miss. They have a great idea. It's $1 billion idea. But if the people they are directing only know the basic idea, we want to build a house. What does it look like? How big is it? Where is it going to be located? And the directive tends to be, figure it out, go make it happen, without the actual details of what the house should look like, or the product, or the new division. So the goal has to be strong enough, but it also has to be publicized. You need to bring others in so they can see where they fit into that goal and what the overall picture is, bringing people along in that, explaining at each step, not only where we should be, but celebrating each step, celebrating each little success, and not waiting till the end when everyone's burned out and doesn't care anymore. You've lost that momentum along the way.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, what do you think with the work you're doing right now, and speaking to so many companies and so many events and working with them? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that, the change that you want to see? In a few words, how would you define the major change you want to see in the world as a result of your work?
Well, there are several aspects to that. One of them is taking companies from distraction to action by bringing humanness back. We kind of opened up with that a little bit. But with the pandemic, with the changes in the world, we have lost some of the humanness. And as we're adding new technologies, new devices, AI, increasing production, we're losing that human connection that makes sales happen, that makes production flow. And it has become more of there is a bigger disconnect right now in human history than any other time, in person to person. We order coffee and we don't have to speak to anybody. We can have dinner come right to our house without ever saying a word. And this is happening in the business world as well, where customer service isn't about the customer anymore. It has become a disconnect. And while it may streamline things in the beginning, it pulls the customer and the product further and further from one another. So I'm trying to pull that back together, putting the customer back in customer service, putting the people back in the business of training, I tell people all the time, it's not just business, it's personal. When we lose the personal touch from one employee to another, from the connection to the product or to the goal, we have lost the purpose of the whole thing. Yeah. I just had an experience with a medical company, and their mantra is they're connecting patients and doctors like never before. And the reality is, in order to get through the phone system, it takes an hour to 2.5 hours to get an actual live person on the phone. So they have lost what their mantra is. So I try and help people match their metrics to their overall mission.
Yeah, we really need that. As you're saying, I began my professional speaking career in 1996 speaking about customer service excellence, and especially that connection, that human connection that is so important to make people feel loved and appreciated in the process of being served, right? And I really understand what you're saying. Everything now seems to revolve around apps and technology and how to streamline, how to be more effective or productive or simply faster, right? And faster is not always better. Of course, we want to use technology to make our lives better, right? But we cannot allow technology to remove the life out of us, right? The humanness, as you said.
Yes.
So why not use technology to bring people more connected and allow or create space for humans to flourish and to be themselves and to connect with each other. And because at the end of the day, that's what we humans really need, to feel connected, loved, and appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. There is something our brains do, and they call it a sociometer. That is, our eyes and our senses will pick up little motions, little points from person to person that when we're interacting, I can feel joy coming off of you. I can experience something humorous together, or we can look at each other without a word and know what we're thinking. Okay, we need to X next. This is where video games, robot makers, they're constantly trying to catch up because they can't connect into the sociometers. They can't get our eyes to respond to what their products are trying to put out. And they're constantly trying that. But the more tech we put in, we developed cell phones to bring us closer together no matter where we are. And yet we have a hard time having a conversation 2 feet apart. Yeah. So
what is the main message then? Of course, you have touched so many important points so far. But you know what? That's the way I work. I always try to make it to simplify, so people understand better, right? And are able to apply what they have learned. And of course, if they were paying attention to this, if people are paying attention to our conversation, they are getting a lot of insightful information here, a lot of ideas, of course. But let's try to help them even more and summarize what is the main message we need to tell this world, okay? the main message everybody needs to really pay attention to, so we can be happier, more productive, and companies can make more money without jeopardizing humanness.
Well, finding that balance, finding the balance. People are stressed. Employees are worried. We have home expectations. We have work expectations. And the more technology comes in, the higher the stress goes, because we're constantly keeping up with tech. And humans are slower, more connected. We need that touch. We need that face-to-face interaction. So number one, separating work and life. With the invention of technology, cell phones, we can still be contacted by work 3, 4, 5 hours after we've technically left our desk or our jobs. Companies and individuals need to see that there needs to be a separation. There needs to be the workday ended, and if it couldn't be done today, it starts whatever time you get back into work tomorrow. Because when we cannot regenerate ourselves, when we cannot have that life by design outside of our careers, they blend together and we don't know the difference. We're always thinking about work. When we're at work, we're thinking about home, because everything has blended together and there is no separation of those. So giving people that opportunity to separate work and life. I call it the supervillain. The work-life balance doesn't exist if the two aren't separate. And so I would say that is one of the biggest messages, is finding the balance. We have 7 facets of our life, from work to hobbies to learning, mental health. And if we're out of balance in any of those, most of us are out of balance in 4 or 5 of those, because we're always on the go thinking of 1 or 2 things. If we can find more balance in all of those and give our employees, give our wellness checks to the entire group, whether it's a sports team, a business, or your family, we all need to have that balance in order to function. Otherwise, we're stuck in that stress. We're stuck in that unknown navigating. And the more piles on us, the more we struggle.
Yeah, one thing that, a good exercise, might be imagine our life as a house, right? As you used that, that analogy in the beginning. Imagine our house with no separations whatsoever. So, the garage, the kitchen, the living room, the dining room, the bedrooms, the bathrooms are all the same. All the same, no separation at all, right? We wouldn't feel very comfortable, right, in a house there's no separation whatsoever, and even there's no walls. So you're just in a space, but you are invaded with bugs and heat and cold and smells all over wherever you are. No, your air conditioning is not going to work because there's no separation. So it would be very hard to live in a house like that, right? Very uncomfortable. And for many of us, this is how our life is, right? There's no separation. Work, romance life, health, family time, it's all in one thing. So people don't have really that moment to feel special in that special room, right?
Yes.
Like your bedroom, like your living room, like your kitchen. No, it's all the same thing. And of course, we have different, conditions in every room of our house. The garage probably is not as clean as your kitchen, right? But if you put them all together, it's going to be a mess. So
Right.
we have to step away from work. I was listening to other person this other day, and he told me that work will never end. So if you have the expectation, I have to finish my work so I can rest, I can do something else, you're never going to do it. You have to step out from the work. Okay, this is what I could do today, and then I have to recharge myself. I have to re-energize myself with something else so I can come back tomorrow to this and be productive, right? And
right.
Really,
So
really
what a
productive.
lot of people do in that situation is it's now 9 o'clock at night, and instead of reading a book, going for a walk, doing something that fulfills you, you glance and notice an email, or you see a paperwork that isn't due till next week, but you start thinking, well, I should get a head start on that. And now your personal life just got pushed further back.
People make well, they misunderstand the concept of life by design, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that life by design is having lots of free time, or living by the beach, or having a boat, right? And really showing this Instagram life that people like to show. But life by design is simpler than that. It's like designing a house, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like designing the compartments of your life. When it's time for your health, when it's time for your leisure, when it's time for your work, when it's time for romance, right? So designing the important aspects of your life and how you're going to organize your time around them. This is really life by design. And you can be super, super happy, or much happier than you are, even without the boat, without living by the beach, without any of that, if you have your life by design well balanced with everything that you need as a human being to be happy. Does that make sense?
Yes, you're hitting it 100% on. And that is what the life of design is. It is finding and scheduling your time. As importantly, I tell people, be the client today. Do you treat yourself like you treat your clients? Do you stay up late and get that project done for you? That thing you've wanted to do, whether it's a hobby or a task. Will you take yourself out to dinner and celebrate like you would a client? So I even created a series of 1 minute, I call them island minutes. And one of those is be the client today. Treat yourself in this one day, and then create a habit of that. Treat yourself like the client. Would you come back to you if you were treated the way you treat yourself as a client? Would you come back to that environment? Unlikely. So why are you designing your life where that is an element? It's the beach, the life, the Instagram life you mentioned will come if you schedule it out. If you set those goals, this is what I want. I have created for myself what I call a 10-10-10 plan. So we all have 30 days in a month, and I know this can't work for everyone, but it is a way of balancing and a way of looking at things. So the first 10 days, now not all in a row, but the way I schedule it is 10 days are being on the road, giving speeches, trainings, that aspect. And I try and limit myself to accepting more than that in a month because it throws me off balance. The next 10 days are the process days, the contacting clients, signing contracts, getting the prep work done, running errands. whether it's business or home life, trying to fit that in. The remaining 10 days are mine. I get to travel on those days. I get to relax and regenerate on those days. Now, the biggest question people say to me, well, how can you take 10 days off in a month? Well, again, it doesn't work for everybody, but we have a built-in schedule of 8 days, 4 weekends off in a month. Sometimes there's a holiday in there, there's a 9th day. But can you alter your schedule? Can you use some of your vacation days so you have 10 days off of recuperation rather than waiting for that once a year when you take these 7 days off and wonder why I'm still exhausted? You're out of balance. So if you can create your own 10-10-10, your own balance plan. Now, I understand sometimes work and life is going to overlap, but on the days you've decided that this is my 10 days of relaxation, make sure 85% of that day is yours. Obviously, life comes up, you have to answer a call, but try and plan that day where it's distractions are out of the picture.
That's awesome advice. Yeah. Everyone should come up with their own strategy, but if they don't have one, they can start with yours and they will find a way to design that life. And of course, as you said, yes, you can have the boat, you can have the life by the beach, you can have everything, but you don't have to try to sacrifice yourself to have enough money. Then for someday you have that. You can really have the life you want now if you start designing it and finding those spaces for you, for your family, for the things that are important to you, right? I have this commitment of doing at least 1 hour a day, something that I really love that has nothing to do with work. It's 1 hour a day. So I find the time every day for at least for 1 hour. And I love my work. So you go, but you love what you do. So you're always, yeah, I love my work. I love everything.
But you still need to separate them.
I still need to separate it into something else that I love, right? It can be martial arts that I love. It can be music. It can be sports, something that I also love that is not work, but I know that it's going to bring me more energy to work. And I'm going to show my love through work because of that. You cannot share what you don't have, right? So you have to refuel yourself with love, with energy, with self-worth, so you can share that when you were working.
And that's the beauty of the balance. That's the beauty of the actually separating your work and life, separating those 10 days. So you are actually regenerating yourself. You're fulfilling yourself and getting the rest. When you go back to work, you are more energized. You're ready to handle what comes at you. And you've got clarity because you're not constantly mired in the same issue over and over.
Yeah.
That insanity again.
Yeah. And a warning for the companies out there. I believe they need this warning, right? I see a lot of companies with lots of well-being programs, mental health programs for their employees, right? And they have massage rooms and they have the days off and they have all kinds of early release programs, right? But at the same time, they have bad management.
Right.
And they keep putting pressure onto people to do things that are really not necessary. They keep running meetings with no purpose that gets nowhere, just wasting people's time. And you see people just going from one meeting to the other every day, and then they have to work late at night to answer emails later. So people are working like 12, 14 hours a day because they're trapped in this unproductive meetings all day, and then they have to do the work later. And then suddenly they receive an email, oh, hey, remember, next Friday is early release. Take the day off to yourself or yourself. And they go, are you crazy? Right? So
it only adds more pressure.
they need management, leaders in general. You are responsible for many people, right? So being a leader is a privilege, but it's also a great responsibility, right? So you are in a position to really damage somebody's life or make that life a beautiful place. So what are you doing to really design life in the workplace?
Well, that's a great question. It's helping them see what you just said. I just worked with a university that had exactly that problem. They said, we have a wellness program. We have yoga instructors that come in 4 days a week. We have a gym that is fully technologically ahead of its time. Nobody's using our wellness programs. I said, well, what are the metrics that your employees are following? Because if they can't take the break, if they can't, they were even having issues. Members or employees of the university were not showing up to mandatory meetings because they couldn't leave the pile on their desk. They weren't allowed because they had to stay late at night and get that work done. The management, as you said, didn't allow, if we're taking you away from your desk, you either have to take your lunch break at the meeting, or you have to stay late and get your work done. But you have to be at the meeting. And oh, by the way, why weren't you in yoga this morning? So we worked through helping them see why this situation wasn't working. Help them see that maybe they were short-staffed. Maybe their expectations of their staff was too high. The wellness, the balance is only putting pressure on them when you come back and say, hey, nobody's in the gym. We just put this in for you, without seeing the reality of they don't feel they're allowed to go to the gym. They don't feel they're allowed to come to the meeting without missing their lunch break and taking their own time. And for a lot of people, that 30 minutes, 15 minutes, if they're lucky, they get an hour, isn't enough to rejuvenate themselves from the day.
Yeah, we have to take action, and leaders out there have to take action in the right direction, right? So we have reached the point in our talk today that I would like to leave our audience with some action steps, action points, or at least some inspiration for them to take action, right? And to change things, and to make a difference in their workplace as a leader, as an individual contributor. What can we actually do to make a difference every day, and little by little design the life we need to feel connected as human beings again?
As individuals, creating that life by design, we've touched on the balance, giving yourself time. And I want to extend this offer to everyone that's listening. As I mentioned earlier, I created an Island Minute, 1 minute video that comes out once a week. You can watch it anytime you want, but take that time and I would ask you to put in your calendars right now, block out a 15-minute time slot every week. Put it in there right now. Give yourself this 15 minutes and sign it from me. Love, the Flip-Flop Philosopher. I'm giving you permission that you can take 15 minutes, watch the video 1 minute, and then take the other 14 for you to assimilate what's in the video, or just plan your life that you want. plan the things that you would like to get out of it. I'm not selling anything there. They can go to my website, davidblakepresents.com, click on that, and it'll send it right to your inbox. I'm not selling you anything. This is my gift to you to set up a 15-minute per week. If you can't find other time in your day, in your weekends, give yourself the permission to take this one break every week. Put it in your calendar, reoccurring right now, so you can start doing that. I promise you that 15 minutes will start expanding into 15 minutes a day. It'll start expanding into, well, next week, I want to ask for myself. So I'm going to block up the entire Saturday. I'm going to block Wednesday evenings are my time, and start there. For companies, the same thing. Block out time for employees to actually have an end of their day, without the expectation that you're looking over their shoulder or that they have to keep checking in to work. Allow them that balance in their life. Identify and acknowledge we all have disabilities. We all have limitations of things we can't do, whether we can see it or not. We are humans that can't do everything ourselves. This is a handicap of most executives. They can't admit they don't know something because they hold a position that says you know all, you are the leader, and you are supposed to be in charge. And being in charge means you have all the information. Well,
And you have
that's
all figured out.
Yes. Well, that puts more stress on the executives because they have to put up this front that I know everything. I've got all the right answers, and I can't admit I have limitations too. Utilizing team member talents, utilizing those under you, around you to solve those problems. Usually the frontline people know exactly where the problem exists. And so ask them, help them understand they're part of the solution and that they're able to help you the same way you're obligated to help them.
Amazing, amazing. So many important tips. So if you didn't write down, it's davidblakepresents.com.
Correct.
Yeah, davidblakepresents.com. There you can find a place to, let's say, subscribe for those 1 minute island minute, right?
Correct.
So you're going to receive that and really block that 15-minute window in your calendar. It's the first step to really design your life. It's designing your calendar, right? So you block a time in your calendar for yourself. And of course, after you do that, you're going to start realizing that it's also important to block a time for your spouse or for your kids or for your hobby or and little by little, you're going to be organizing your calendar and creating the life you really want and deserve and need to be more happy and productive as well. And I also enjoyed the tips you're giving to the leaders, to the executives. Even if you are a hero in your company and for your people, remember, heroes are not complete. They need other heroes.
Correct.
To work together, to teamwork, and make things amazing. So we are not perfect. Even heroes need help, need to work as a team, and need to guide others, help them make decisions without guilt, that they deserve a break to.
And that's the humanness.
That's the humanness.
You had another point there. Your spouse, your employees, don't just take the time for yourself, allow them to take the time also.
Amazing, amazing. Well, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you need to have a more productive organization and a happier working environment, probably you want to consider bringing Dave to speak to your leaders or to your people to help you, to guide you in the process of becoming more human and more effective as well at the same time in our work environment. I want to thank you so much, Dave, for today. Really, your insights, your clarity of thinking, and how to design this life that is going to be better for everybody is super thoughtful and super useful. So I believe everyone watching and everyone listening will benefit if they go all over again this interview, replay everything, take notes, and put them into action, because this is going to make a huge difference in everybody's life, everybody that is listening. Thank
Definitely.
you again. This is Fabulous with Fabio. My guest, fabulous David Blake, has given us the honor and the privilege of listening to his wisdom, his generosity, his kindness, and his thoughtfulness is really what brings a show like this to life, and make me believe that what I am doing is making a difference. And I want to thank a special guest like you, Dave, for being kind enough to share your time with us.
My pleasure. No matter who you are or what you're going through, you deserve a life by design, your design.
Perfect. So remember, davidblakepresents.com is where you can find him. And of course, you can find more about what we do in magnainfluence.com, so we can change this world together and make it a better place for everybody. Dave, thank you again. Thank you all, listeners and audience. I love you guys, and see you soon.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.